Welcome back to another episode from the Critics Collective. I'm Ron, and today we are talking Paradise. Ba-da-da. That's not how the song goes. But if you know, you know. So, anyways, hit the subscribe button, like, follow, and comment for more. We did season 1. You can check that out. We've talked about some other shows, movies, television, and film. But if you subscribe, you never miss a beat, and we'd love to have you join our collective family. Now, with that being said, Paradise is on Hulu, Disney plus Hulu. Disney owns Hulu. It's at this point they're all slowly merging together. I know they say oil and water, they don't mix regardless how much you shake it. But when it comes to what it seems like these streaming companies are doing, we're we're almost right back where we started. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you my highs and lows of this. Then we're gonna go ahead and rate this, and you can participate too. You can in the comments let me know what were your highs, what were your lows, and you can go ahead and rate it as well. You can also let us know what you're watching, and maybe we'll go ahead and watch along. So with that being said, Paradise, the storyline, I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm just going to give you like a rough line or two. Basically, you have a Secret Service member who is a part of what the new world is going to look like, because there's a disaster that's going to happen, and you're watching the aftermath of the choices that were made. And one of the biggest kickers that gets this thing going, if it's the first time you're watching and you haven't seen season 2 and you're just here because you like to see my face or hear my voice, which I appreciated, without spoiling anything, it really takes off once the development of the story or the arc with the president. So fast forward through that again, not spoiling anything. Season two, I think, does an okay job continuing what season 1 did. There's a scene, not going to say a scene, there's a scene that has to do with a plane. That's all I'll say. I felt that scene would have been a better cliffhanger in the previous season, because yes, I understand why they were placing it and how it was going to drive the story, but just the things that were happening there, I felt like would have been a cliffhanger on the end of season 1. Now, with that being said, moving through it, the highs that I have, or lows I have for this one, was the spoon-fed storyline plot, as if the audience isn't smart enough to put 1 plus 1. And don't get me wrong, common sense isn't very common nowadays, but they would literally hint at something from the first season and even moments in this season, and there should be certain levels of, hey, do you understand the plot? Hey, do you see the Easter eggs they're laying? Hey, do you see the looks and stuff they're giving? And then sometimes you might want to, nudge them in the right direction. This wasn't just a fucking nudge in multiple scenarios throughout the episodes that you had. This was just the flow of the show, and I don't understand why. The show could be such a sophisticated show. If you look at shows that are like House of Cards or Breaking Bad or The Shield or The Wire, some of these shows just gave you what the story was, and it leads you to connect the dots. And if you miss it, you miss it. If you listen a little fast, I got to slow down for you to catch up. But what this does is, there were times where you would see something. I'm going to make something up, has nothing to do with the show. You're like, hey, that person has a cup of coffee, and they have it in their hand. They're showing it every day. It's a cup of coffee. And then people keep saying, hey, blah, blah, blah is allergic to a cup of coffee. And then you're sitting there saying, oh, wait, then something's going on because he doesn't drink coffee. That must not be what, and instead of them leaving it there with the idea of the story that's right in your face and the subtle nudge that sometimes happens, they're like, no, we need to let everybody know what's about to happen. So then the actor is going to pick up the cup of coffee and showcase and say, cup of coffee in the big time. Cup of coffee. Why? That made no sense to do that. And it happens multiple times throughout this. And to me, it was the biggest gripe. You have a moment where you're connecting the dots and you put it together and you get it, and it hasn't even settled yet. The steak and the butter and the thyme, and you're just sitting there and you're like, hey, it's exactly, you're getting it rested, and it's doing the things that steaks do. And then before you can enjoy the buttery linger and go to the potatoes and the veggies, there's this weird aftertaste, and you don't know what it is, but it's there. And that's what Paradise has all over it, unfortunately. Again, that's the only thing I would say that was bad. Let's chime into the good stuff. The good stuff is the reason why I think that has such a big glare for me is from it took away from the acting and the moments they put. They set this universe down in where I want it to be. And that is some end of the world type shit. I'm talking about if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, it's not that you were a fan of zombies or blood and guts. No, it had nothing to do with that. You're watching humanity where they should be together against a common foe, the undead. There's simply too many issues that these individuals are constantly going through. And that's one of the biggest reasons that with The Walking Dead, later on it falls off because it becomes something else, unfortunately. But the real good episodes for some of these shows are the conversations and the things that are happening between individuals or groups of individuals, right? And I think they did a really good job of creating some moments where I was like, I couldn't believe what they were showing. I was like, holy some of the episodes reminded me of like scandal moments, where I was like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. The Pit, which should be on season 2 now on HBO. There's just some moments where you're just in it and you can't believe that all of this tension just right here is either released or they built it up. And the other thing I would say that I enjoyed about it was I enjoyed the shots. I thought it was shot clean. It looked it's a very clean looking show. It doesn't look like they skimped the budget on anything. The leads look great in this. There are some roles with some issues with, again, feeding the plot. And I think it may have a disservice to the actor where you're like, oh man, the actor just wasn't acting. No, I don't think that's what it is. I think what happens is that's just the script. That's just the way they shot it. And so you're sitting there, at least I was sitting there saying, oh man, that's ridiculous. Why the character wouldn't do that? This does not drive this character's point. But then you're like, again, going back to what I said before, I'm like, oh, you have to spoon feed this. And so the rest of us who get it, we have to sit here in class when they're like, hey, we already went over this chapter, but we're going to do a refresher. Then finally, the other thing I would say is great going with the setting that they place this in, the ability from which they have created such a sandbox. I'm curious to see if we get another one. I'm curious to see what their plans are moving forward. And the reason why I say that, when there's always going to be somebody in the comments like, well, obviously you didn't watch the last episodes. I did watch the last episodes, but I also said no spoiler. So take that how you want. And if we know, there's some shows that don't get an opportunity to go forward, or they're designed to leave you in a moment where you're like, I wonder what they're going to do. And I know what we're going to do right now. We're going to go ahead and rate this. And like I said before, you can join along in the comments, hit the subscribe button, like, follow, and comment for more. You can simply in the comments put in there, is it a 5? Is it a 3? Is it a 2? 1, 3, 5, 4 thumb from excellent to horrible. We are talking Paradise season 2. It's new, not very new, but it's newish. There's a lot of good TV out there. The Testament and some other shows. I got to get to The Testament. I feel like that's going to be a vibe. So again, you're watching the effect of people who are in power, and there's a situation that happens that affects not just the US, it affects the motherfucking world, and it gets everybody on their feet, and you're watching the cause and effect of that. And you're seeing this in a drama, not necessarily dystopian, but it's right there. It's right there. And I hope it gets there. I really do. I really want this show to be the first few seasons of The Walking Dead. I want it. I need it. I like shows like that. I like reading books and novels that have to do with the world's demise. There's just something about it. But anywho, I'm gonna go ahead and rate this. I was gonna look at it again, but I'm gonna rate it a 4. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought the lead, Sterling K. Brown, does a really good job acting his ass off. And I thought the supporting characters did a great job. Even some of the new characters that came into light, I thought they did a really good job. There are some characters where I was like, I'm just not feeling that character. But I just think it was a result of either A, bad writing, the script, or just the direction of it, just bad, in my opinion, and having to spoon feed the viewers so that they don't miss anything. And I feel like that was a disservice. Let's be sophisticated. Let's not water down this whiskey. I think I said A four. I don't know if I just said what it was, but yeah, you could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to be here. Until next time.